happens as we walk through this door. It says, conduct yourselves with wisdom toward outsiders, making the most of the opportunity. We did like a role-playing thing a couple weeks ago. Like there's a college age group that meets up in Santobia. And so I was talking to this guy trying to do a role-playing thing to show like how a conversation with outsider go. And here's like the brief telling of it. So, and I didn't know this guy for real. So it was a good like way of doing it. And so I was like, hey, how you doing, man? My name's Glenn. He's like, I'm Chuck or whatever his name was. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Hey, you go to school at Northwest? He's like, no, I go to Mississippi State. I was like, oh, that's cool. What's your major? And he said whatever it was. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. What do you want to be when you grow up? That's one of my favorite ones for young people. And so he told me, whatever it was. And I was like, well, is that really tough? He's like, yeah, it's pretty tough sometimes. I'm like, well, do you spend a lot of time praying on it? And he's like, well, no, I really don't pray like I should. And I'm like, well, prayer is really a good thing. It really helps us not only just these areas that we're trying to pursue in life, but in all areas, and it helps bring us closer to God. I didn't have much else beside that, but it shows that as we continue to talk with people, I kind of ran out of things to say, but when we make the most of every opportunity, if we continue to look for where they're opening the doors to their lives, we can continue to go on. The conversation was really that short, but it was able to move to God that fast because if we look for the doors to walk through, it'll change things. If we're just talking about, oh, that's his major, oh, that's nice, so what's your favorite ice cream, we can go on and not try to look for open doors. But if we are willing to go and walk through the doors, this guy, if he was going to this class, probably knows something about God, probably a Christian, but he was really honest that he said he doesn't really pray like he should. And so even to Christians, sometimes we got to make the most of every opportunity, especially to people when they're hurting. But the lost people a lot of times don't have a concern. I have a cousin who, his wife has had trouble because she saw a side of Christians that was here I am on Sunday like this, and here when I go home, I'm someone else. And so it really is a struggle for her because she takes that experience and puts it sometimes on other Christians and other people and says, well, they're really fake. I really don't think, and she's struggling. My cousin's trying to struggle helping her out because he doesn't always know the answers because my aunt is a really good person, really loved him, and the experiences that he had were a lot different. So we don't always know all the wisdom to have toward outsiders, but we need, if we're going to be praying, to listen and hear people out. We don't have the exact same experiences as any person on this earth. Even a brother or sister, mother or son or daughter, even if you lived in the same house for your whole life, your experiences have been different based on different interactions with different people. And so when having this wisdom toward outsiders, some people are going to let you in the door that they see the need in their life in. And like this guy, I forget what his major was, but it seemed like he was pretty serious about school. And so that was something he was concerned about. That was a door that he was willing to open to discuss God. And it says to make the most of the opportunity. Because sometimes it's easy. Oh, I don't want to get uncomfortable or make them uncomfortable in dealing with things. We were in class this morning. Sometimes I don't have the time to go through each of the things on the lesson. And so, I'll be like, let's pick, such and such a number. And so the way I was doing today, I would close my eyes, go like this and go like that. And every time I was doing it, it was like one I didn't want to do. And I was like, man. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do things that are difficult for us, that we shouldn't make the most of every opportunity. At the fish fry, there are all these different people, out. And, I know, it says Mr. I consider myself a Mr. Evangelist, whatever you want to call me. But I know my job is to reach lost people. So I look around and I pray. I go up to Rayburn's friend Mac because Mac's our age, Mac, is a cool guy and stuff, It's easy for me to talk to Mac, right? And so then I see Jimmy and Tommy and a few other guys over there. And it was an extra level of difficulty. I forget who all was there. But I'm going to go up and talk to these people, So I'm talking to them. The conversation, once again, because I prayed, went better than I expected, and I was talking to these young guys, helped JoJo out and different people, and it went well. Maybe not as well as I could. I may not have made the most of the opportunity, but I'm trying to learn and try to do better. And so then there's another group that I knew I needed to deal with. But these guys were significantly older. They weren't really talking, and I was like, man. But what would Jesus do? Would Jesus be like, I'm just going to deal with the easy people. I'm going to make the most of the easy opportunities? No. And so I went up to them, and I had some better conversation with them than I'd had with almost anyone that whole night. There's angles that we can take as Christians to help make the most of opportunities. I don't know what your life is and the angles you can take. The card that I like to pull, which you probably can't, is I'm an ignorant Californian, and I don't know a thing about the South. And so people will talk to me all day long about the South, and about this is the way it is, and this is how it is, and I've known so-and-so since they were born, and this and that, because first of all, they care about it. Second of all, Christianity is part of Southern culture, so it's a great inroads, and it just goes on and on about ways that they can open up. I don't know anything about these guys. And sometimes when I start a conversation, hey, yeah, how do you know JoJo, or how this, and sometimes you just hit a dead end, and it's like, ooh, yeah, kind of tough, But if I'm going to make the most of every opportunity, I can't give up. We can't say, oh, well, the first time I tried and knocked on the door, they didn't answer the door, so I'm just going to give up and go home. If these are people we've known for years, we got a better opportunity probably for them to let us in the door of their lives. People that already know us, we've already spent years building this rapport, this relationship with them. Hopefully they're willing to open the door. If Christianity means something to us, we should be willing to talk about it. There was this girl who she was taken in, I think, to an orphanage, and she had had a really tough life. And they asked her, like, the first day there, they did this special event, and they asked her, what did you think or what did you learn? She's like, I learned that there are some adults that can talk about God all day long. And she didn't see that as a good thing at first, because she wasn't about God at this point, but her life had really changed over the course. I think it was maybe a summer program the orphanage did, and that her life was changed because adults actually showed love to her and made more of the opportunities than they would if they'd wanted to just do the status quo, just do anything. They knew that this girl had more needs than others, so they reached out in a greater way into her life, and she appreciated it more than if it was just, oh, here's your food, go sit down. They looked into her life. They showed the love of Christ. They showed that they were going to make the most of opportunities instead of just another face in the crowd. We know that we don't feel love when we're just treated just like everyone else, but when people go out of their way for us, it makes a difference in our lives. We're only going to be able to make the most of an opportunity when we have an opportunity face-to-face, person-to-person with an individual to be able to make the most of it.